Welcome to the Hawks Nest live stream show. My name is Brendan Kane, and I do appreciate you for tuning on in on a beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully you're getting through your week well, and we are just getting cooked up through these prospects. We're going to go blow by blow here over the next week and a half through all of these draft picks of Seattle, or at least most of them. I might leave out Mason. I don't know if I could find a lot of tape there, but we're going to go through a lot of these guys and try to get a little bit of a deeper look into them just past the cursory glance and see what they bring to the table, both from the good and the bad. Not the bad in the respect of it's got to be permanently bad in these cases of when we talk about some of the things that are maybe the warts in their game. It's just about the places that they need to improve. All these guys are youngsters. There is certainly a lot of reason to believe that there can be room for growth. It doesn't always happen with everybody, but we're going to look at kind of both sides of this again to do the deeper dive on looking at all the good things they bring. And yesterday was one where it was pretty easy to look at just really the good because Gray Zabel is such a clean prospect and there's so much stuff about him that is so ready-made for the NFL, technically so clean, very fundamental. Some of these other guys in this draft, Seattle Seahawks have gone for a little bit more of the upside. They've really swung out there for those fences and to really hit those home runs. With that, there's going to be some inherent risk and you're not going to have as much crystalline, perfect underlying pinnings to their game. So there's a bit of that to that. We're going to look at these cut-ups here today and talk about these players. I want people to kind of consider. It doesn't mean that we don't still are really hyped about the potential or the upside of these guys and that isn't just absolutely true, but it's just the thing to consider on this. And today, the upside we're going to talk about is as good as you will find at the safety position. It doesn't get higher than this. It doesn't get more physically impressive than this from the safety position. And I'm talking, of course, about Nick Emmanwori, the Seattle Seahawks second-round pick, a guy that they traded their third-round pick to move up into the second round to go grab. A guy John Schneider did say that he had a first-round grade on him and probably around mid-first-round grade at that when it was all said and done there. This is a guy, though, that drops in the second round because of, like I said at the start, there's some things in his game that you can kind of pick at a little bit, but also beyond just him having a lot of parts of his game that have to be refined or a few parts of his game that have to be refined down. This is also what just happens to really good, high-quality safeties in the NFL. This is not a position where teams are going to do the double dip like they did this year with the tight ends in the first round and grabbing two of them, where you'll see that occasionally kind of pop up. Really is rare that you're going to see a safety taken in the first round. Once every couple of years. I think Starks is the only guy this year that was taken right at the end there by the Baltimore Ravens. But it's just not something that just happens very often. So this is where when you talk about a top-end safety going, the best of the best safeties in a class, this is kind of their landing zone. So in itself, it doesn't mean that he's missing some talent of actually having that high upside that his testing numbers are sort of teasing here. And that's where we, of course, start out with is the amazing RAS testing score, the relative athletic score. This is something that's often used to distill these players' times down to a bottom line and give you really just a kind of a quick snapshot of them from what they bring athletically to play in all those testing numbers. And in Nick Emmanwori, you have a guy who is as rare as they come. I'm talking a number one. I'm talking there's not a better relative athletic score that has been presented by any prospect but him at the safety position. Initially, they were a little bit posting him as a number two. You might read online that he was the number two guy, but after there was some more in-depth look by the people over there at Roz, it was discovered that he is the best, posting a perfect 10.00 athletic score. And this is really cannot be understated of how unicorn-like you're getting as far as the raw goods here. And it's not pure raw form, by the way, which is the part we're going to get into in his game. There's a lot of good stuff he brings, a lot of that potential in play. I think we're getting a dog here. I think we're getting a guy also with the right mentality with this physical sit, because sometimes you get the guys that are super physically capable, but then they aren't really much of a dog. They don't have a lot of heart. They may not love the game on the field, and then you feel that from them on the tape. But that's not the case here with Emmanwori. He is a guy that plays fast, loose, free, goes hard with it. There's going to be things to clean up in his game, but there's a lot to love. When you look at him on a PFF ranking last year, he's kind of sitting right around in 97th territory, so not a top 10 rated safety season. I would argue it is very hard from the PFF standpoint of things to really grade out safeties, especially if they're not just getting a ton of interceptions on that side of it, because these guys are being asked to do so many variety of things now more than ever before. And so when you look at them and you're trying to assess what their role and responsibility is playing to play out, And there's a couple snaps here I'm going to show you on our cut-ups. It's not always easy to tell because sometimes you're the free safety, sometimes you're the strong safety, sometimes you're coming down as the slot, sometimes you're now coming down as a inside linebacker, basically in like a 3-4 kind of look. So you're all over the place, and it's sometimes just hard to really tell. I think with PFF, they sometimes can struggle with that when they get to the safety positions. I think we've seen this at times here in Seattle with a couple of our safeties come through, like Quandre was always a little bit oddly graded, even at his best sometimes. But still a solid season last year from him. He carried some accolades with him here. He was a 2024 first-team All-American by the AP, Sporting News, Reese's Senior Bowl, College, FB Nation, second-team All-American by FAA, SI.com, CBS Sports. So everybody was well regarding his game beyond just this magnificent testing times he seemingly has brought up. Joe Morrison MVP on the defense, 2024. Variety of other little awards here, SEC Player of the Year, et cetera on that. So, I mean, pretty good. He's obviously brought something to the table here on this, and it's part of really I'm trying to kind of attack here out the gate, which is that some people might look at initially this guy and go, well, they fell in love with the testing times on the guy. And there's been people that have referenced him as sort of a DK Metcalf of this draft, which in itself isn't necessarily unfair, I would say, but it's also this guy I think has even more production from what DK was able to bring from college, on top of course, not having a surgically repaired neck, which was a big part of why DK ended up dropping in that draft. But it's a fair comparison, and I think Seattle is doing the same kind of swing they did with DK, taking him at the end of the second round, which is that you're looking at all of this potential upside that could exist in this guy, and you're getting at the value at the right spot at that point where this hits, and the pick's going to look absolutely amazing. I think the road we've got to cross a little bit when it comes to this and starting to really lock in on where I think his upside is and how high I think it is. And I think that the Seahawks are very right to target him here at the top of that second round. I didn't want to go the first round, but if you could glide up into the second round, go get him there. Great spot to get him. That was awesome value. But here's the comp you're getting for him, priced around all over the place here. And that's going to be Jeremy Chinn. You're going to see it every which way but loose. On CBS has got it. This is, of course, on NFL. And Jeremy Chinn is a very interesting player because when he came out, and I did scout Jeremy Chinn coming out, he was a guy that came out and was freakish in his athletic testing times. To give you an idea of this and how he is number 2 on that relative athletic score, the top combine numbers that you're noticing right now are Nick Emmanwori, 4.38, 1.49, 10-yard split, 43-inch vertical leap. By the way, with that vertical leap, Michael Jordan reportedly jumped 47 inches. So Nick Emmanwori's 4 inches off of Jordan's highest vertical leap that was ever supposedly recorded for him at his best of the best in his prime. Pretty impressive. Broad jump, 11.6, freakish there, 20 reps on the bench. And then you look down below, that's Jeremy Chinn's time. 4.45, a little slower, 1.53, not as quick, not as explosive maybe. Vertical leap, 41 inches, just a shade below him on the explosive chart. Same broad jump, same bench press. And so you see where people are trying to make a little bit of this comparison as they go, well, one's an athletic freak and then this guy's an athletic freak. And so these two things have got to kind of align up. That's where this guy's going to go. That's where he's headed. And in Jeremy Chinn's case, by the way, he was also a second round pick. So a little bit of smoke to this fire. This also doesn't go away any clones anymore when you look at the PFF grades for these guys coming out in through their time and especially into that final season for them both. Whereas in Chinn's case, 86.6 overall grade in the final year with him at Southern Illinois. Remember that part right there? Southern Illinois. I want you to keep that in mind for a second here. So an 86 grade for him, 79.6 grade for Emmanwori. He's the guy in the bottom here of these season grades. You have Jeremy Chinn on the top of the season grades there. And so you see with them both, this aligns up pretty closely as far as their final year in college and how they were graded. And kind of eerily strange as well on top of this, both of them gave up exactly to the number 200 yards in coverage in their final year, or they're at least accredited with giving up 200 yards in coverage in their final season in college. Exactly. Kind of eerie in certain respects of how much these guys sort of do line up and how they look. But I would offer that I don't think it's a good comparison at all. Not at all. Now, I do think in a lot of ways this guy can be a new age Bam Bam. I wasn't just clickbaiting that with the video and little title on the thumbnail. I think that you can be that kind of guy. He will not be Bam. There will never be another Bam Bam. The league will not allow another Bam Bam Cam to exist in the way he did. And this guy's not the hitter of Cam, but he can come up and be that guy who can be just really rangy when he comes up to tackle you. If he can get some of the tackling issues that are a little bit there with him cleaned up, he's got the length and the size to be able to wrap up anybody in space. And he's got the ability to lay that occasional hit where he can come in at his size, where, look, when you're coming in 220, he probably plays 225. And a lot of these other safeties out there will be around 205, and you're bringing a little bit extra in your pads on that. You're going to still be able to light some guys up here or there. You got to pick your spots more now than ever, like in Cam's day, where he could just hit anything that was moving, including offensive linemen sometimes. Now, not as much the case. You've got to pick and choose kind of a little bit of your spots where you go. And in Emmanwori's case, when you look at a differentiator between him and Chin right out the gate, is that this is a guy who will be willing to lay a lick. He's willing to lay a lick. He is a guy that brings the wood, not a Cam-like, but just definitely a lot more than Chin. And when I watched Chin in college, something that stood out to me is that he was in a lot of ways kind of in this almost rover role, predator role, whatever, where you're almost in kind of the middle of the defense, playing almost middle linebacker, safety. And he's just kind of sometimes if you go back and watch Jeremy Chin's tape in college, so a lot of him kind of just sort of taking up the middle of the field and handling traffic within the middle of the field. Not tremendously physical. You didn't feel him in coverage, certainly really tight. He wasn't a guy that really jumped off the tape to you. And this was, again, back at Southern Illinois. So I don't like the comp because you have a guy who played in a lot different of a competition whose tape wasn't quite as good on that side of it when you did go in there and watch it. And even though he is credited at times in looking at his tape as far as playing a variety of different roles in Southern Illinois, box safety, free safety, I think Emmanwori did way more stuff in how they utilized him in different types of roles, which of course that lends itself that much better than to Mike McDonald's defense and doing the things McDonald's going to want him to do here. Not just be fit into a box, but do a variety of stuff. So Chin was a lot more of a kind of boxed in role to me, watching him out there at Southern Illinois against lesser competition. And in Emmanwori, you have a guy doing this against the SEC, the best out there. So when he's out there rocking it, that's the part you got to keep in mind. And another spot to this, I think, when you look at Emmanwori and listen to him talk, is that this is a guy who says, look, you're getting our coaches don't like to say dogs, but you're getting one of those guys. You're getting one of those hungry guys. And then you go to listen to the press conferences of South Carolina through the year and how that defense was talking and how you could see and feel that he was definitely a leader on that defense. A commonality of this draft class has been how many captains and leaders of the team we have seen. And you could feel that in Emmanwori. And you feel that there's a drive in him as well to, simply not just be happy to be there. I think that there's a little bit of that worry with the NILs now, and you're a big-time college program, you're making millions of dollars. Have you just kind of got the feel that you've made it, that it's all good, the money's in the bank, you're handled, or is there a bit of hunger? And they were talking to him in the press conference about the defense being a really great defense this year. And he corrected the reporter, and he said a historic defense. We want to be a historic defense. And I think that's really cool that stands out to where he has an eye on that, and that team, South Carolina, they played a hell of a brand of defense out there. Going up against the style of offenses you have to go up against, knowing you're not just getting the cupcake schedule set up for you to be able to just tear through it if you happen to have a really special defense that you're able to put together. The fact that they put up some of the stats that they did, I think, is really impressive and stands out and probably not to be undersold. I'm not giving him all the credit on this, but you've got a defense last year that was ranked 9th overall by PFF, 12th in points allowed at 18 points per game, and 16th in yards allowed in all of college football. Not just the SEC, but all of college football, obviously. There's not 16 teams in the SEC, but that just tells you a little bit of how good that defense was. They've turned out a couple of great, very good prospects into this draft, but he is the best of the bunch of these prospects. He is the guy who will be probably the most productive pro. And again, why I just can't go to that Jeremy Chin comp at all, because I just don't think I felt any of that from Jeremy Chin coming out of Southern Illinois. This was a Bruce Feldman freaks list. You guys have all seen those lists of Bruce Feldman's freaks, and he called this guy the freaks of freaks. He is very much in on the upside of this guy as well. You listen to a lot of different smart people talk about him, and they really do gravitate towards really getting the feeling like this guy is going to get to that upside, that it's not a matter of you're flipping the coin on this one, that it's a much more closer to getting maybe not fully assured, but you're going to get a hell of a player. And the comp that I do like going to here is we're going to start to look at some of his tape. The comp I really like to go to over and over again, though you've even got to put a little bit of a change to this one, is going to be Adrian Wilson, former Arizona Cardinal safety for a very long period of time for them, went to a few different Pro Bowls. I do think Emmanwori is going to be a better cover man than that. I think he brings more in that way. I think that first, one thing we've got to do before we get into the depths of the tape here a little bit is understand that when we go and we look at this highlight package of Emmanwori, it's not one where that's a representation of his game. He's not flying around the field like Earl Thomas was from center field and just making quarterbacks think they can fit a whole shot in, and they've got no chance to fit the whole shot in because he's just too fast to get there. And he's undercutting balls, and even if he's not getting the interceptions, it's near miss interceptions in almost every turn. With him, there's a nice little highlight package film here that you can look at of him. I've got the cut-ups of his interceptions kind of put in here where you can see him undercutting routes, reading the quarterback's eyes, making a play on the ball. He's got a couple pick sixes, I think, on the resume in addition to that. So he's capable of getting you some picks. I certainly think he is much more improved, and he provides much more athleticism, speed, explosiveness than Wilson did in that respect. And so when you do see him make these plays, this is in his bag. I expect him potentially to be able to give you a variety of those kind of plays over the course of the season, but I don't want, as it's gotten kind of oversold at times, of him being this just uber playmaker guy, Mr. Everything guy, and it's not quite to that level of degree of things, but it is really, really good. So we're going to go through the film. I've got a variety of cut-ups here for you guys today. Some of these players I'll go regimented and kind of show you, here's this category of what his game, what he brings. Here's the next kind of category of what he brings. With this guy, I think he's got everything he can give you that you want on the field: hitting, tackling, playmaking, go back and pick it off. He can be smart. He gives you hustle. So he's more of he gives you everything. It's just we got to go back and forth a little bit about where he gives you what he gives you at the consistency you want to see it, and then what needs to still kind of be massaged and cleaned up a little bit in his game. So let's take a look at this. I've got the highlighter here. And one thing that stands out when you got this kind of speed, first and foremost, one of the big things that stands out, and let me get the highlighter here for you guys, is that, make sure I'm right on these, by the way. I want to get this big so you guys can see it, is that even when you're wrong, you can sometimes be right. I've actually got the wrong guy here, sorry. Some of these you guys got to be patient with me. Live show here, folks, live show. All right, so we've got him down here in the box here. And on this play, he's going to get caught sucked up into the run a little bit. So again, right there, as you can see there on the highlighter, he's going to get caught up into the run a little bit. So you watch his couple of false steps, but he's got a coverage responsibility on the back end. And he hustles back to get to it in the back end and is able to make a play in there. The fact that he can start up with 2 false steps forward, still get back to the crossing route to depth, it's a pretty cool play. I'm not going to lie. So even when he's wrong, you hear about makeup speed with cornerbacks. That's what you get with a guy like Emmanwori. His instinct on this is wrong. He completely buys in on the run games, gets sucked in. This is what LSU would draw it up to want to see happen. Give you another angle of it here from the All-22. Look at him cover back up in space and get there in time. Now, he's going to get caught with the flaggy because he got a little hold and he couldn't get his head back around. But just to get back into the play here, on the play like this, when you started that deep in, that's what we call pure speed. Pure speed right there. Run this a couple times here. Okay, so also what speed allows you to do is you're going to find him right here on the field. I'll try to make this a little bigger so you guys can see that a little bit more heartily. What you're going to see him do here is first pick up his coverage responsibility, and then when his guy blows the tackle, come up there and go make the play. So an ability to get a couple of responsibilities done in one thing. Another part that can stand out in a Mike McDonald defense and sort of what he's looking for at times is having guys that can be able to, give you at the 2-for-1. We're trying to create a defense where we can give the appearance of having 13, 14 players on the defense, as Seattle said about McDonald's defense when they played Baltimore a couple of years ago. And the way you get that done is sometimes having these guys that are just this fast to get from point A to point B quicker than others. So the second this tackle gets lost, he is all over it. First, absolutely clean in coverage. And I was referencing to you guys on draft day, a part that really stood out to me with him. And what you'll notice here with this, and sorry, I got to start these plays a little further along because you can only go so long in these clips. But what stands out to me with him is there's a lot of South Carolina lining him up in that cover 2 shell situation, and then asking him to pick up the slot full speed from 12 yards off the ball. So what you really first want to watch is look at how seamlessly he jumps the route, runs the route better than the receiver, and then he goes up and makes the tackle. But that's not an easy thing to do as this makes this look out to be, because a lot of times you've got to make sure you're staying on top as a safety. So to have the wherewithal and to have the ability to know you can go up and drive on that route like that, he's reading the quarterback's eyes, feeling what he's doing. And Nussmeier is going to probably be a first rounder next year, their quarterback for LSU. But the fact that he picks this up so seamlessly, I'm going to show you a few of these snaps, and I just really appreciate the fact that this is not easy to do for a guy that's a strong safety. You're picking up a slot running full speed right at you at the stem of the route, and you've got to read the stem and flow with the stem. But again, just watch him here. Jumps the route. His guy goes up, blows the tackle. He comes up, makes the tackle right there in the spot. Not another yard forward, not another step forward for him once the tackles come up and been made. When you're this big and you start wrapping guys up, there's not always a lot of falling forward on those guys. Not something that you have a tendency to see. I love the kid's pure hustle when it comes down to it. It's another place where when you got the speed like this and you can actually bring the hustle, it makes such a big difference. Here you're going to see him aligned down now in the box, kind of almost like a, typical box safety, basically, playing a little bit of that old school style. They're expecting a run here in South Carolina. This play is run all the way away from him to the weak side of the formation. But watch how in his pursuit, he not only gets to the ball, he gets the ball with enough time to not attack it from the side, but attack it from the front. Keep that in mind when you're watching this highlight of how he plays this to go up to make the play and attacking it from the front. And then by doing so, he's able to knock the guy back. They're able to keep him from falling into, no falling forward, they're able to keep him from falling forward into the end zone like you might have a running back in this situation do. Because he's gotten there so fast, he can set himself up. Most players would get here and they would get attacking to the shoulder. They would only arrive by the time he's, bam, you're onto the shoulder and you're riding him in. He can get in front and then with his size, still have enough to go and then make that tackle. But the hustle here to get all the way across the field, never give up on the play, fight back into it. Like to see that on a guy who's got his kind of wheels. That's nice. Makeup speed is always a good thing too as well. So you blow something. If you're going to blow something, do you have a way of getting back into it if you mess it up? And here, this is where you're going to see a little bit of sometimes the issues with his games that can show up. Not always taking the best angles to the football. It's not always what you like to see on that side of it. Definitely could be improved there. So, watch what happens here. Bad angle, catches back up. Gets caught inside there, takes a false step into the inside, takes him out of the play as it's bounced outside. So when I slow this down to right here, look at the angle there. The running back's got an angle there to bust this. And the front side player is actually ahead of Emmanwori. So the guy in front of him is what, a half a shoulder to his right. He's closer to the ball carrier. Now, Emmanwori's got an extra step to find the angle there, but the other guy gets left. The other guy's out of that play. Like that running back is housing that if not for the speed of Emmanwori to catch back up on this play and get him out of bounds. Get up on his horse. So that makeup speed, even when things go wrong, you've got the makeup speed to essentially find a way to get it, to sort of correct it, get it fixed. Don't like the mistake, like the ability to correct it though, and correct it in play. About some goal line lockdown coverage. Mason Taylor, second round pick, last draft, strength on strength. This is what you like to see, right? I want to see him matched up against another pro. I want to see how he looks against that pro. Boom. Locked right up. Hands are off of him. Yeah, he gets a press on him. Okay. That's it. But this ain't going to get called. Never going to get called. Gets inside the shoulder, technique-wise here. Never gives, now Nussmeier, the whole play is blown up. Nussmeier just gets complete penetration from the jump. But even if Nussmeier drops back off the rollout here, There's nowhere for him to go with Emmanwori in coverage on this. Good press, nice physicality, get inside the shoulder. Nothing fancy, but I like it. How about another goal line tackle? Everyone likes goal line tackles, huh? Everyone likes goal line tackles. So we got it lined up here, right down near the goal line. Heavy formation by LSU. You're going to run it. We know you're going to run it. What are you going to do? Watch Emmanwori on this play. Fill the hole like a linebacker. Get down, get low. Make the tackle. Love it. Different angle here for you guys. Same play. Watch Emmanwori, number 7. Boom. Right there. Knock him off his feet. He's the unblocked defender here. He's got to be the guy to get in here. He's got to be the guy to put his head in there and make this play. And he does so. Another goal line tackle here. In fact, I think this one was right after the last one. Like directly after the last one. So same position as before. Right there on top. Just like a linebacker. Another goal line look here by LSU. 3-man backfield. We know you're probably running. Certainly could throw out of this, but not likely. Again, fills the hole even faster this time. Look how quick he gets in there. Boom. Now the backside guy really makes this happen. 55 by collapsing in there and getting his hands on the backside of the hips and kind of holding them up. But you need Emmanwori to be the wall at the front. And that is a stop, my friends. That is a stop. But that's attacking like a linebacker. That's filling the hole like a linebacker right there. There's a lead fullback coming at you at that point. You're not just getting the free lane like you did on the prior snap. Now it's a kind of a receiver with 19 that they got back there. I don't know if that's really it's more of a receiver, I think. Oh, he's a big dude. He might be a tight end for them. But he don't get moved, does he? Pretty stout. Pretty stout. How about another snap here between Mason Taylor and Emmanwori? That'd be fun, right? We got Emmanwori down here. Taylor's lined up as your inline tight end there on the strong side of the formation, number 86. So let's see what Emmanwori does with him here. Seamless hip transition. Boom, boom. I mean, there's no throw here for Nussmeier. If he throws that, Emmanwori's all over it. And that's the thing you want to watch on this is the change of direction when you get the 6'3" guy. Because that's what teams are going to attack. We want to attack you with the 3-cone kind of routes or the short shuttle kind of routes where we want to make sure that you can move and change direction at your size because we don't think you typically can. He does so seamlessly there with a guy that, like I said, is a former second-round pick in this draft. Very good tight end. Did a good job on him. Okay. Got our guy down here in the box. Just a smart coverage drop here by Nick Emmanwori. Reading things clearly. Play it for you guys a couple times here. It's watching him play this is just so nice because he just does a couple of different things here. I want to show you. First, gets a little bit of depth, recognizes the flat, starts to close on the flat, then goes, wait, I don't want to leave the stuff on the back behind me. Then cleans back up because he knows, look, the tight end's running like a 2-yard route here. If tight end makes this completion, this is for a very small gain. You can knock him right out of bounds. He knows his speed's going to allow him to rally right back up. But he gets back to depth to make sure that there's not a throw to depth. Then once he feels the quarterback, throw it back to short, rallies back up. It's like a 4-yard gain. If he runs this tight, what they're trying to do here, I think ideally LSU, they like this to run tight and try to bring the guy in behind on kind of a level route behind Taylor. But I don't think Emmanwori takes the cheese here. And I think the coaches would say that that's a well-played play. One thing I think is going to be potentially interesting in what Seattle could be looking to do this year with him, and kind of going to be keeping an eye on a bit, is going to be the 3 safety looks. And that's what you got here from South Carolina. It's 3 safeties aligned over the top. You've got him over there as your far right guy. He's going to come up and make a play out of 3 safety. There's a part of me that wonders if this is where modern NFL might be going more with. Mike McDonald did use 3 safety looks a little bit last year, peppered in. He did with the Ravens as well, with his time there with them. And he seems like this may be something that you might start to see more teams start to do as we go into the future. Now, it's not going to, I think the transition is going to get a little stuttered here by the NFL going back to running the football as you see him break the ankles here of Mason Taylor coming up. And here it's not his fault in blown coverage. By the way, you can see you've got the outside corner of the top of your screen is going to play kind of a flat route shallow. He's going to sit on that. And so that means then Emmanwori's got to pick up the outside receiver. So the tight end is actually the 2 linebackers mess this up. It's actually, I think the will linebacker there blows his coverage on Taylor. So Emmanwori's got to go clean that up. We got another 2-for-1 kind of thing here where you blew your assignment. I'll come up and mitigate the damage of this play. But that's got to hurt your ankles, doesn't it? Like that looks like that's definitely I'm going to have a couple of bruises on those shins tomorrow, man. That is for sure. Ow. I see those kind of plays. It never makes me want to play tight end. Good read and reactor. Absolutely, he is a good read and react player. So here comes up, makes the tackle. Notice here as well, hands up. When you look across the rest of this defense right now, who's the one communicating prior to the snap? Is it the mic, you notice? When you see somebody else here talking and chattering. And I think a thing that stands out about Emmanwori in this defense, even though they had Knight there on this defense, is that he's oftentimes the guy prior to the snap guiding traffic, getting guys into the right place, positioning guys to where you want them to be at. So here, right before the snap, trying to position guys and get them in the right space, but then also recognizing, and what he's doing is he's probably recognizing, knowing what's coming here play-wise. And he gets right out on it, quick completion, quick tackle, done. Again, noticing that when you have a big guy like this coming up in space and he's taking on a smaller guy, that it's not a matter of being like Cam, bully, I'm going to blow you apart and, it's going to be like an explosion of TNT when I get there. It's that when I'm the bigger guy, like big brother on little brother, you just aren't big enough to get past me. I can stop you in place. So trying to tell everybody what's happening on the play, gets out there in time, reads the play, makes the tackle. They're fantastic. How about playing a little bit like a linebacker, huh? Everybody likes that. Bit of the linebacker in space here now. We got him up here around in the box, 4-man front. He's the extra guy down in there. Can you play it like a linebacker when we ask you to do that? Can you be physical? Can you be tenacious? Or are you going to play like a safety who'd be much more comfortable being 12 yards back behind the line of scrimmage? Boom. Right up in there. Let's go. Get dirty with it, right? Get dirty with it. Good reaction. Come up. Make the play. Wrap up. Don't just shoulder tackle this thing. Help your guy out. And the running back, again, does not go forward once he arrives. Another good read and react play here for me on this one. You're going to see him to the high side of the field here. Just keep an eye on our guy right there, as he's going to be all over this play. Boom. Right down. No fooling. Knows exactly what you're doing. Keeping in mind here, he's got to first play the run, right? Read option run. He's got to first be that guy there. He knows he's got Brady Cook here, who's not really a threat to run this ball. So this is, if it doesn't go to the back, it's going to be a throw. Smart enough to recognize that. Don't get bought in on the read option if the quarterback's not a threat to take it. So they just climb out then to the other running back. Get out to the flat. Go make the play. Smart player. Smart player. How about some more speed and hustle here for you? We got our guy right here, top of your screen. kind of just off screen here. You're going to see him drifting into it here off on the left side. So keep an eye on that. Watch how far he's got to come on this play. How about yes? How about hell yes? You want to pump me up? You want me to get me psyched about a player? You show me a guy that runs a 4.38 40, starting all the way at the other side of the field off camera, coming back all the way to the other side of the field with those wide hash marks to go make this play, and then lay the hit at the end. These are the type of things to me that tell me a lot about the guy's heart. There's a lot of guys on college tape on these kind of plays that can just kind of lollygag their way through the play, make it look like they're kind of trying just enough to get their grade on tape. Or do you really want to go over there and help your buddies out? You want to go over there and make a play. And like coaches like to say, when you hustle, good things happen. Good things like a nice, rewarding hit like that. How about another hit? How about a little bit of bam bam? I've been teasing some bam bam. Should probably give you a little bit of bam bam, shouldn't I? Huh? Give you a little bit of bam bam, maybe? There we go. Watch this. Tell me this doesn't remind you, a little. It's kind of the Calvin Johnson bam bam hit, right? Against Detroit. It's kind of that one. You're getting 80% Cam. But, he still knows you're there. He's aware that what you're doing. He's going to feel that tomorrow a little bit in his ribs. Just a little bit. How about single high? Can a man rock it from single high? You got to play a variety of different coverages in this defense. It's not just about doing one thing. It's about doing many things. So what happens when we align you in single high? Are you comfortable back there, or are you really just a strong safety? You're really just a box guy. Is that really how you're just built? Well, let's take a look here and see what he's got. Drops back in coverage. Keeps things clean. So identifies the deep route, right? First man's running top routes, kind of just running like a slow cross. And then the bottom of your screen, you got kind of a post. So he goes to the post smartly enough. That's his responsibility. Reads it quick. Deep play's never there. Brady Cook takes the crosser the whole way. So good stuff there. Some more single high stuff here for you. Gonna have him back here. He's your far back guy right there. Bomb. Keep an eye on him. Drop him back. Identifies what's what. Comes up, makes the tackle. So good stuff. So nobody goes deep. He's got no deep here. When you're the single eye safety, you're going to usually have coverage responsibility at depth. That's why you're seeing him drop back, is that he's got to make sure nobody gets behind him. He identifies nobody's running a deep route. He's reading the quarterback's eyes, reacts where the throw goes. This guy blows a tackle. We've seen him do this a couple times already. Cleans up for his buddy and goes and makes the play. So smooth, fluid, comfortable. Walk up in space and not be freaked out by the fact that he's got to go make a tackle in space. He can break down and get it done. Another one here that's going to just show off, to me, some of the hustle and range of the player here. So we got our guy right here down near the box. They're feeling maybe this is going to be a bit of a run. Recognizes pass, drops back quickly. Oh, shoot. Did I have the wrong guy there? Yeah, I thought he made the play there. I got the wrong one on that one. Covering from the slot. Disregard that. Disregard. Okay, so he's on the top side, high side of your screen here. These are going to be some snaps just kind of showing what he can do from the slot. A little bit more of that versatility and ability in doing that. Got him down over here. He's got to pick up the slot there from kind of the shell's position. You're almost kind of picking him up from box there. No problem. Does make the play, but very tough task you're asking these guys to pick up when you're asking them to pick up in space like that at times. Not easy peasy on this to try to do this against a slot receiver, but right there on the play. Certainly not beaten badly. And again, remembering a lot of times on these, you got to stay high over the top. You've got to make sure you're not getting up anything over the top. So again, I can't understate how tough of a responsibility this is. You're up here in the shell. Okay, I'm going to mark here. That's the slot, right? So the slot receiver here is going to get a 10-yard head start. You have to stay back here into depth and make sure you stay clean the whole time. So it's really a position where, especially if the receiver's running an option route, you're sometimes just left in a predicament of there's not a lot you can do about that. But the confidence by South Carolina, and I always tell you guys, you can tell a lot by teams by how much they do something, by how much you see them rolling a play route and putting them in a certain responsibility. And this is absolutely going to be the case. That when you see them aligning him out in the slot like that comfortably with a guy uncovered, getting that running head start, and that he can still go up there and drive on these routes. As look, he's not there tight in coverage, but he's driving on this route. And it's a third, I think it's like second, like 14. They're trying to get a couple of yards here. So there's all the more reason to stay to depth on this one. But he does drive, he does react on this. He's not just sticking up high and you're catching him in a back pedal when the throw's off. He's already starting to drive up on the route. I know this isn't a great rep on that point, but a lot of that is what you do see from him when he's in the slot, is that he's very reactive, or at least he's reactive to the slot, not lined up in the slot like a slot corner, but he's got to basically, cover it essentially. Another slot rep here. Where my stuff's at here. Hey, kitty. So right there in the slot, this is more of kind of a press kind of look here on this one. But press, drag route here. I mean, that's a strong safety, 6'3", 220, staying with a slot receiver step for step. Doesn't buy into the little patter of his feet there. He's right there the whole way. Another one here from the slot. And another one where this is him aligned in the slot, and this is him aligned actually in more of, okay, I'm up covering him tight here. There is no backside. I got to just cover him basically in man coverage here. I'm not in zone at all. And another just absolutely impressive rep here. The receiver is going to run a little bit of a zipper route, outside and in. And again, testing that change of direction, shuttle times, all that. The bigger guy, can he move in that way? Watch this. I mean, that's a safety doing that, folks. That's a 6'3", 220 safety doing that. And he's not a step given up. I mean, look at this other angle I've got on it. Watch this second angle of this. Watch how tight he is on coverage on this throw. Look at those, look at just draped over. And the whole thing with him is that, of course, he's coming out supposedly not as a guy that, not as a guy that is going to be able to give you that, that he's a, not a real cover guy like Starks. The whole thing with that was that Starks was, and I certainly love Starks' game, and I think this is still a truth, that Starks just more of kind of can be that slot cover guy, but he gives you these reps in there too. That's a tough little task. How about playing like the linebacker again here? Love watching him in these kind of linebacker snaps. Down here near the box. Just kind of roaming down in there. Finds the ball. Read the play. Stay under control. Doesn't make the tackle, but he's in on it. And he's certainly not shying away. Willing to come downhill? You better believe it. You better believe it. Got him right here, recognizing. another play where you sense him recognizing what he's seeing based on film study. Something about this is telling him on a play, this is a run going left, and it's absolutely going to be a run going left. Watch the flow here. All the way. Tell me that's not film study there. And then look at the first down marker right above his head there. Stop just in front of it. That is absolute film study right there. He knew exactly where this play was going. And then came down and played like a linebacker. Under control. Wrapping up. Everything's in the right place. Just like those reps. Like those reps quite a bit. So, okay, look. You've seen the good he can do. Covering the slot. He can cover the slot from cover 2 shell. He can come and play like a linebacker down near the box. He can play a single high. We've seen him be able to lock up on a tight end a little bit in a couple of these clips. So he gives you the full meal deal on this stuff. So I'm going to show you a couple of these snaps now that aren't maybe as glowing, okay? But it's not to be understated the fact that I think he is going to reach into this upside. I think we're going to be talking about a player in a couple days from now where I might have a little bit more hesitancy in my belief that he might quite get to his super high upside. But in this guy, I think he's going to get really, if not there, very, very close to it. We're getting, no matter what, to me, a damn fine player. That this is a guy, even with that upside, you are getting some floor here. And it's going to be a floor that's beyond a Jeremy Chin, in my opinion of things. But let's look at a couple of these snaps just to be in the name of fairness. A couple of the snaps that maybe aren't as great, right? So we've got him here. Top of your screen here. Again, with that tough coverage responsibility, a little bit of a throw. I know I showed earlier that it's hard on these plays. You got to play over the top. So how much do you want to give the guy a hard time on these kind of plays? Hard to say. It's not a bad play. Again, you give up the completion. It's not horrible. And again, I think there's some times where you're setting the guys up on this for just kind of no-win sort of situation. So here, you've got him in a. No, wait, sorry. Right. Let me get the right one here. Again, the predicament. And I don't know Seattle's going to do this a lot to him. They've done this with Julian Love. You do it with a free safety who has cornerback experience. I don't know if you do this as much with this, more of a safety. You know, it's more, this guy can do free safety stuff, and do slot stuff, but this is really where you're really pressing it. And there's going to be some of these snaps when you ask him to do this. There's just no way about it. I didn't mark the right guy. There's your slot. There's your safety. Again, like I've said, you got him in this position where he's 8 yards between him and the slot. The slot gets the full run at him. And then he's just got to try to hopefully hold on for dear life and react right. He doesn't do too badly on this, but you can see that there's just a little bit there, created a bad throw there by the quarterback, throw him behind. The receiver's got enough separation to reach back and still make the catch. But again, not a big slant against him on this one where you're like, yeah, it's he's fine in coverage. He is, and you're not going to put him in some of the predicaments we have seen on some of these other guys. Let me get to the other one I want to show here. So on this one, a bad throw over the top. Another weird throw by the quarterback. He's cover 2 shell, playing kind of cover 2 here, it looks like. Seems to be the responsibility. Gets caught kind of flat-footed a little bit. No man's land, doesn't really pick up any of the receivers coming out of this little kind of bunch mix thing they're doing there. They're just trying to run each other together and try to kind of confuse the coverage. And he gets caught kind of looking weird. There's some of this on tape where you can catch him. We only gave up 200 yards in coverage. This is not the place that I would point to. That's the real, spot that needs to be cleaned up as much. I think that the tackling can be where we really kind of see some of the issues play. And I'm trying to find my snaps on that. So the poor angle I showed you earlier with the makeup speed, that's definitely something you see with him. And when his bad tackles happen, it doesn't happen because of lack of effort. It happens because he's coming up and he's just taking the wrong angle to the ball carrier. So watch him on this one where he should be free and clear on this one, just gets kind of caught going too sharp at the angle and not kind of using that sideline to his, he's trying to come up and make the play and stop him kind of dead in his tracks a little bit, but then he opens himself up to the outside and loses the man on the outside there a little bit. There are these plays where he comes up, there's a few of them where it just kind of doesn't take the greatest of angle up. But that's where all of his missed tackles come from. If he takes the right approach to the guy, he's going to tackle him. This is where it all boils down from, and I do think that it's going to be able to be something that he can clean up. Let's see if I can find another missed tackle here. You're going to have him aligned as a kind of a sort of inside linebacker here. It's like you're running the 3-4. You got your outside stand-up guys, your 3 inside guys, and then him and Knight are sort of your linebackers here. It's kind of a cool look by South Carolina. And again, just kind of a weird angle, right? Kind of overflows a little bit to the right. Ball carrier takes advantage of it. Doesn't do much, just kind of peels around him a little bit. So he just has to take a little bit of better angles on the ball carriers. Absolutely, you can improve this kind of thing. Where Coach Carroll would tell him Carroll would tell him here, you attack the near hip. So you're coming up here, and what happens is he starts to try to get him heads up here rather than just attack that near hip, wrap and roll. That right thigh right there, grab that thigh, wrap and roll. Instead, he's kind of trying to square him up a little bit here. Just gets him into a little bit of trouble. Not the worst thing in the world. Sometimes there is a little bit of a lack of urgency there with him in the game where, the engine most of the time is very good on the hustle side of things. Most of the time he's on it, but there are times where he can throttle down just a little bit on some plays and he's not doing the 100 miles an hour thing, playing with his hair on fire. You get a little bit of that. He's the unblocked defender here. We saw him earlier on a play at the goal line where he made a play down there and he did the right thing. Here, he's unblocked. He's got to fill that hole. That's his responsibility there. Now, it doesn't help that his buddy just gets completely driven to Kansas out of the hole, both of his 2 guys. I mean, the center takes his guy on a ride. The tackle's taken on a ride. I mean, that does not help matters. But kind of a weak effort getting there on this, right? I mean, that's get in there and fill the hole and fill the lane and make the play. It's a big back. What are you going to do there, It's a little bit of a big back. Just a little bit there. But that's pretty much the good and the bad with it. A little bit of a lack of, this again, the throttle down thing I was talking about. Kind of reads it weird. Doesn't kind of get back as much into the play on this. You see this with a lot of safeties. Quite frankly, he's better at this than most safeties on the willingness to stick his head in there. So, I mean, this is kind of just, this is safety life a little bit, I would say. But it does stand out that there is a little bit of that on tape. When you're talking about the cam comparisons purely and some of that lack of always attack, play in and play out thing that goes on, that's where it does get hard to kind of quite make those comparisons as much because, of course, Cam would come down and rally down and go make the hit and go make a real strong play down there. But this guy's got it. He's got all the ability in the world to be whatever he wants to be. And a lot of these players in this draft that the Seattle Seahawks have drafted really have that upside to where if they are the hard workers, if they are in many cases if they have been the captains in the team, those leaders in the locker room, that they have that hunger and fight to go become those players that they sort of tease that they could be. And in this guy, if you can go get yourself this game-changing safety who is able to play all of these different positions. I mean, there's a lot of talk about, is he going to be McDonald's Hamilton or not? And more than me getting caught up in, is he going to be the Hamilton or not? I'm kind of more caught up into the versatility thing that keeps coming up into my mind when I think about what you're building here in the secondary with some of these guys and how these parts can kind of move into this next season especially. So what I mean by that is in Witherspoon, you have a guy that can play slot, who can play outside, and who can even play safety snaps and be comfortable in those snaps. You have an Emmanwori, a guy that can play slot, who can play safety, who can play some linebacker snaps. You have Kobe Bryant, who's played outside corner, who's played slot, who can play strong safety. You have Julian Love, who in college was an outside corner, has played free safety, has played strong safety, has played the slot. And you know in Mike McDonald, you have a guy that just in general terms wants to show you one thing prior to the snap and then have it be something else post-snap. And the way that you accomplish that is, yes, by making things look one way and then becoming something else. But the other way that you make that happen is by having actual players who can do those wildly different responsibilities play in and play out in what you ask them to do, so that you can be maximally unpredictable in your defense and what you show versus what you are post-snap. And this is why the defenses in so many ways have taken back control from the offenses in recent years, has been the unpredictability, has been the, hey, what you see coverage now is not what you're going to get. And hey, what you see on the defensive line is not what you're going to get post-snap. Oh, simulated pressure, stack boxes. No, we're not going to bring it. We're going to look like we're bringing it, but now we're not going to bring it. And then sometimes it's very hard right now to read these defenses, but you have to have the players that can do the variety of things. If I have an edge, let's say, that all he can do is rush the passer and he can't spot drop in space at all, well, look, I can zone drop him and bring a blitz from the other side, but the quarterback knows he can just go attack that guy in coverage, no problemo. It's not an issue. So you got to have the guys that can actually do those skills and do the variety of things. And in this guy, you have a guy that can do that. And in Witherspoon, you have a guy that can do that. And it's not to be undersold is that these guys aren't just growing on trees in the NFL. These aren't just easy to find where you're just going to trip over them when you walk out your front door every day. They're hard to find, especially when they're this good, when they're this complete of a football player. And man, I can only wonder the ways that Mike McDonald is going to mix these guys up between Witherspoon and Emmanwori, because I think in both these guys, they can kind of do some similar things and some different things, but that you can really confuse a quarterback by what he's looking at, where he's looking at Emmanwori and he's going, is he the slot on this one? Or is he dropping back to strong on this? Or is he just going to peel over and become a linebacker after this? And they're going to run their linebacker down to center field between the hashes. It's going to get wild. But it's going to get awesome. And this is how you make the most out of Mike McDonald's defense, not just by building up a lot of talent, not just by building talent that fits to the defense, but giving him versatile pieces that can be like weapons that he can use all over the place. And then you just let him go crazy. Hawks have done that here with Emmanwori, and you should be hyped for this one. This ain't empty. This ain't just fanboying out on this one with this team. This is as talented as they come at the position. One of one unicorn status as far as size, speed, quickness, explosiveness, all of that packaged together. They don't come like this very often. I don't think that there's even really much of a bust factor to him. It's just a matter of how good he will be. I thank you for watching today. We've got a couple of donations on it. If you can hit the like button today, I would really, really appreciate it as it helps this channel grow. MJ Seahawk, thank you for the $5 donation. We got a talented safety without trading 2 first-rounders. Absolutely. And there's sometimes, MJ Seahawk, where they'll come out of the press conferences being John Schneider, and he'll say, oh, we had a first-round grade on this guy. I think once they came out with Colby Parkinson and said they had a very high grade on him, and I was kind of rolling my eyes going, yeah, sure. Okay. With this guy, yeah, you do buy it. You do believe it. This guy was a really probably a top 30 player in this draft by just about any measure. And so them going up and getting this guy here and understanding how deep you were going to be into that third round for the pick you gave up in the third round, where it's almost a de facto just about a 4th round pick by where you're selecting at. And so you just don't feel bad about making that kind of swing to go get the guy that you know is going to fit this well into this defense, who's got that much talent. You're going for that upside. You're looking for those difference makers. And what better way to find a difference maker than to find the unicorn of unicorns for the position? How about that? So I agree. You didn't have to do the 2 first-rounders to do it, but you did get a first-round talent. And when you do look at, as I was doing some kind of studying up on this, when you look at the safeties that go through the years here, and I know we have a Hamilton that's gone earlier, a Starks that went at 28 here this year, but by and large, it's like Budda Baker, where really talented player, ultra productive, coming out of college, team played really well. But because where the safety position's valued at, he'll go at the top of the 2nd round. And that's the rule of thumb on this one, is that's just where those guys go. And we see a lot of it in the same way with running backs. Unless you're almost a generational-like talent at the running back position, there's a tendency that you're going to have to kind of wait until the top of the 2nd round to go, even if you're the best of the best at that given year in that position. And so it's no besmirching of Nick Emmanwori that he goes to the top of the 2nd round at that. There's some stuff to clean up in his game, but the upside is absolutely real there, MJ Seahawk. And thank you, man. I appreciate the $5 donation. Me in the house. What's up, me? It's good to see you, brother, back on in. Me has been dropping a big bunch of monstrous, huge donations to the channel, and I really thank you for that. Me, your support has been absolutely second to none and absolutely amazing. And that's saying something because we've had, I don't know if it's second to none, we've just had so many people dropping so many big time donations here on the channel recently. It is, especially through the draft coverage. You guys overwhelmingly overwhelm me in that way, in an awesome way. And I really appreciate you for that, me. He says, sup, B? Hitting the lull of the off season, but you're still pumping out the quality content. Appreciate the hard work, buddy. As always, let's have it go. Go Hawks. Let's go 12s. Hey, let's go Hawks. Let's go 12s. And a big thank you to man for you on that. I really appreciate that. You're awesome for that, brother. You're awesome for that. Let's get a little Seahawk chant. There we go. Day feels a little bit better when we get a little bit of that going, huh? A little bit better when we get that going, just a little bit done to me. But I thank you for that $100 donation. If you're tuning in today, we're going to be kind of changing some things up here on the content creation business of things here on this side of things. Looking to now do a daily show here for you guys on the Hawks Nest. So we're going to go live every day throughout the week, Monday through Friday, 12 o'clock. We're going to be doing some shows. I did see some people mention the fact that they can't do the lives during midday. So I will mix this up a little bit, and we'll do some of these later on in the evening at times, and maybe like 5, 6, 7 o'clock or whatever, do a little bit of the later daily shows. But I've got a schedule put together here. I'm going to keep kind of trying to put together so that we've got a show ready to go every day. It's going to be of usually some different kind of stuff that we're going to talk about. So next week and a half or so, we'll be going into these prospects and doing the deep dives into them. We've got Elijah Arroyo up tomorrow. So we're going to take a look at him, and then Milrow, and then Horton this week, and then come back around to the next couple of guys next week on that. So we've got that set up. Got a couple of other shows lined up beyond that. So we're going to keep these things going. Even though it is the off season, we're not going to stop here because I want to kind of get this going as far as this is a normal part of the channel, normal part of the show that we have going live in this, get you guys used to this content popping up. But be on the lookout, as we will be going live every day, 12 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time here to do the daily show. I'm really looking forward to a little bit of this change in, just changing the way we're going to roll with this and see how it goes, see if you guys resonate with it. Appreciate you guys watching today. We will be back again tomorrow, 12 o'clock, taking a look there at Mr. Arroyo. I really appreciate me and MJ Seahawk for the nice, very, very kind donations, as you guys have been tremendous in that respect. To the members of the channel, we'll be getting a members-only stream set up for this next Sunday, so be on the look on your community post, on the lookout for that. And I don't know if we're going to come back tonight either on the we might be back tonight on the channel with the Roundtable crew, or we might be over on the Roundtable. We're still trying to kind of get that figured out on that side of it. So be on the lookout as well for that. We've got the show going, I think, tonight, one way or the other with that. But I will let you guys know on that side of it. I appreciate you guys today for watching. Again, if you can for me, hit that like button, maybe sub up if you get a chance. I would appreciate it. We'll be keeping going, and we're going to be going daily on this channel moving forward. So I hope you guys will ride with me and roll with me on that. Back in less than 24 hours. But until that time, please don't you ever forget. And big thank you again. MJ Seahawk, me, you guys are my heroes. Thank you for the donos. But don't you ever forget, by God, don't you do it. Go Hawks.